I don't know if you know this, but I'm an amateur flamenco dancer on the weekends.
Sweet.
Yeah. If you guys can't see on camera, or you're colorblind, this is green. We first got this thing powder coated green. It was like Kermit green, guys. It was really bad. It looked like a Kawasaki green. It wasn't at all what I thought I'd picked. And we went back and picked this color. It's inspired by our
cylinder hone.
Our cylinder hone over there. But mostly it's inspired by the Moto Guzzi V8, which they painted this kind of color of green. If you don't know that bike, you need to know that bike. The GP 500 Moto Guzzi V8. And the reason they painted that green, story goes, is that that's the paint they had on hand, a machine green.
The machine green sitting in the corner that nobody wanted.
They just threw it on the fairing. And we picked it for this bike. And the whole theme of this bike was?
Like Beto, but better.
So Beto was one of our first customs. I was trying to remember what we built Beto out of.
That brown bike.
Oh, that's right. You're right, it was the 850T. Yeah. And I think I might have paid $800 for that. And I specifically wanted 850T because it had the stupid rear drum brake.
Rear drum
which
brake.
I thought was so cool. The point of this was that he wanted to take it to the racetrack. So with Beto, we put in modern inverted forks on it and an old real TZ 4-leading shoe drum brake, and then beautiful bodywork. But this particular client said he liked that bike, but he wanted to go racing, and he was okay with us putting some more modern things like disc brakes on it.
So where we are now with the bike is final assembly, and it's back to a rolling chassis, and then I've been working on making a wiring harness for it and a custom exhaust. He wants something similar to Beto to show off the missing lower frame rail and just make the bike look even better.
We built a whole trellis onto the rear, factory rear swing arm, mono-shocked it with a more modern Racetech single shock. And then Chris has just got a mock-up motor and even a mock-up rear end for it. He's building a full custom performance motor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cylinder just showed up today. It's a 1000cc big bore kit for the 850 bottom end.
Sweet.
Yeah, with Le Mans pistons, so it'll have higher compression.
The Moto Guzzis of this era were infamous for having major issues with the coating that they put on the inside of the cylinders peeling off. This is the worst I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad. The engine that goes with this bike is even worse than these.
So new cylinders, and you've been polishing, porting the heads?
Been porting and polishing the heads, reshaping the intake runner, because we're going to make custom intakes for it too, bigger carburetors, larger valves.
What we learned in an 850T or an 850T3 Moto Guzzi and a Le Mans 1 looks exactly the same. There's no difference at all, except for the carburetors. The carburetors are different on the Le Mans 1. I think it's almost twice the horsepower. Revs an extra 1,000 to 2,000 RPM. And is incredibly quick by comparison. So you can take, ostensibly, the factory 850T or 850T3 motor and build it out with cams, bigger valves, different carbs, more compression, but the bottom end, and I think even the crank is the same.
It is, yeah.
And you can end up doubling the horsepower of this motor. So we're really stoked that Chris has gotten the chance to port and polish and do all that work to turn what is, if you look at these tiny little, this exhaust port, this intake port is just super tiny by comparison, right, to what you end up with. This thing isn't just going to look the business. His plan is to take it to the track, and so it's going to have power too. And then, are these the factory wheels? Yeah.
Yeah, they're factory.
They look really good.
Yeah, we took them all apart. These are new stainless steel spokes and nipples, and then we rebrushed the rims and media blasted the hubs and coated those. Check out the rear disc brake.
Ooh, look at that.
It's a part that we machined.
Yeah.
Design machine. So originally the stock caliper is this massive Brembo F08 with a bracket that is really big and ugly.
Yeah, it meets the swing arm in the exact same place. It's a pain in the ass to take on and off. Is this one easier?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, a lot easier. And also another cool feature is this kickstand. So Moto Guzzis are notorious for their auto retract kickstands and
that are mounted up here.
Yeah.
So you can barely even get to it. If you're like me, I got long legs. I can reach around and put it down and jump off, but most people have to get off the bike. Yeah, or get off the bike, reach down, put it down, and carefully set it down. This big giant monstrosity will make it a whole lot easier to use.
When the belly pan's in place, the kickstand can stay in.
Yeah. Custom CNC machined front brake calipers so we can put larger rotors. They look great. probably a lot lighter than what was on there too.
Yeah, definitely. These are cross-drilled and floating, whereas the originals were solid rotors and were not floating rotors.
Fender brackets, custom aluminum fender. These are custom triple trees that we designed and machined.
And these forks are super cool. That was another piece that he wanted for road racing. And
explain what it is that's badass about the Ceriani reproductions.
Sure.
Specifically.
Yeah, these specifically have hydraulic damping, which means there's a shim stack inside of here that controls the amount of oil that flows from the inner tube to the outer tube. And you can also adjust the compression and rebound. So the original forks didn't have any valving. So the way you change damping was with fork oils. And this allows you infinitely more adjustability. And you can also adjust the spring preload, which you couldn't do on the originals as well.
So this is like a fully modernized standard fork. They still look just the business. Yes, it looks a little different with these adjusters down here, but for the most part, this looks like a typical Italian Ceriani from the 60s or 70s. And these are billet cut, really badass. Anyway, we've had these for years. We just now are about to put them on our website. LED with a CNC machined ring and a full stainless bracket setup. We've got our Revival switch housings that we machine and sell. You guys can see them on our website. They're a more elegant, kind of slimmed down solution to some of the other guys that make these. We've got adjustable, Tommasellis that we sell on the website. Kind of converter bars.
So that way he can adjust the handlebars up so it's a little bit more comfortable, and then full-on Clubmans. That was our solution instead of putting clip-ons on it and making it too uncomfortable to actually ride on the street and enjoy.
And then you took these rear sets and adjusted them the same way I did.
So originally the master cylinder mounts right here.
Real big and up high, yeah.
What we've done on other bikes is have it up here, which still doesn't look that great. So I think Andy came up with this idea of hiding it behind the rear set bracket, and the exhaust still hangs off of this.
He's gone a lot of trouble to make it not only look cool, but be serviceable, which is one of the things we specialize in.
Yeah, one of the things I did was added our new plugs that we're gonna add to the website here. So these are waterproof. Basically I wired it so that the handlebars can come off independently in the event of something happening to one of the handlebars.
And you're keeping your factory position for what would have been the turnkey switch.
Got an M-lock hidden in there.
M-lock and Motogadget M-lock, so you can just have a wireless key and you tap on it and it'll turn on. And then here you can see this is the factory Moto Guzzi piece, but you don't even need to open this up. In fact, you can just leave it closed and tap and it'll work.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Well, dude, I can't wait to ride this thing. I bet it's fast.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fast. Shooting for 100 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque.
When's it gonna be done? Tomorrow?
Another 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's almost
Should be
finished. We have a running joke around here that Auerbach, you're not around, I hope you're watching this. Auerbach used to get mad. I would walk in the door and go, "Is it done yet?" Which was definitely my way of acknowledging that it's never done. Everything we ever do takes forever, and we're gonna get there, I know we are, but I think it sometimes comes across as me going, "Why isn't it finished?" Which is, of course, not the case.
Yeah,
I think I'd take a lot longer if I was by myself.
This bike's a good example of that. He came in for us to weld seat mounts to the frame that he already had and to modify the swing arm that he already had.
I do remember that.
And it went from that to a full bike build.
Yeah, I'm really glad. I much prefer to build a complete performing, fantastic motorcycle than just do pieces of it. But we're willing to do that too, to help you guys with your own projects. All right, that was a long one, but there's lots to talk about
on this bike.
It looks really good. All right, good luck, man.
Thanks.